Many things are presently happening in the street regarding the mob that can leave one scratching his head. Lately, I've been hearing from people relaying stories with one common denominator: money, the root to all evil. And this following story, when peeled back, boils down to the same culprit: money again. Richard Ferrara was a longtime member and former captain with the Colombo family. He once led and was the captain of a Brooklyn-based crew. And during Andy Mush's time as acting boss, Ferrara was considered part of the family's leadership. Besides organized crime, Ferrara was a successful businessman involved in real estate and had interests in shopping centers in New Jersey. On September 14, 2021, after a lengthy investigation, the FBI targeted and arrested 14 members of the Colombo family, including Ferrara, as well as virtually the entire administration of the family. The charges included extortion of a labor union, which they controlled through threats and intimidation, and would secure contracts by involving the union's health and benefits fund, loan sharking, fraud, money laundering, as well as other racketeering activities. In December 2022, Ferrara pleaded guilty to part of the indictment. Racketeering related to the extortion of the labor union. What surprised many and definitely raised eyebrows was the sentence that Ferrara received, which was time served and equated to 4 months, 6 months home detention, and some supervised release. An extremely lenient sentence, to say the very least. Apparently, prior to his plea, in December 2022, the FBI questioned him about his business partner, a Russian named Dmitry Bedina, and this was in regard to a 2009 murder. Initially, Ferrara lied to the agents about what Bedina had told him. However, following his racketeering indictment, Ferrara began providing information regarding Bedina and allegedly began secretly recording him admitting his role in the murder. But to be fair, there are no court documents or public records that identify Ferrara as a cooperating witness or an informant. Bedina happens also to be a registered level 3 sex offender. As mentioned, Ferrara was a huge earner and was able to secure a $10 million bond after his arrest by using properties as collateral. There's a fairly new restaurant in Staten Island on Highland Boulevard called Patricia's Taverna, and Ferrara put up $1 million to be a partner in that establishment. When the rumors first began circulating regarding Ferrara's cooperation, there was the issue of what to do about his stake in the restaurant. At first, word was going around that he was out of his money. However, once the smoke cleared, slowly but surely, Ferrara was back involved as a partner. Apparently, the mob was receiving large envelopes from Ferrara. In fact, someone would even make trips down to Florida, where he had a home, to collect the envelopes of money from him. And here's the mind-boggling part of the story. Ferrara is now spending a few nights per week in the Staten Island restaurant, meeting and greeting customers. Thank you for coming, and things of that nature. And the mob's justifying his presence in Staten Island as follows. Well, the guy he recorded wasn't part of our life. I never knew this rule, or this new rule, where you get a pass for cooperating if the person that you're hurting isn't a wise guy. Granted, the Russian is a lowlife if we just look at a sex case. But when did these mitigating circumstances type of rule come into effect? I'm trying to make sense of it. Because the guy who was recorded wasn't a wise guy, you get a pass? Bedina, as a result of these recordings, was questioned on February 8, 2023 by the FBI, who found him to be lying and charged him with obstruction of justice and making false statements, but not for the murder. This story is mind-blowing on many, many levels. It's obvious Ferrara used what he knew about the Russian to save his own ass. And the sentence he received is the biggest red flag. Essentially, he did 4 months. The FBI obviously didn't have enough to arrest Bedina until after Ferrara recorded him incriminating himself. And this coincides with Ferrara's plea and ultimate sentence. But what's most astonishing is the fact that he's back in Staten Island as a partner in a new restaurant and is actually in the restaurant several nights a week. I've personally witnessed how the mob puts money before everything, so it's really no surprise to me. As far as the mob is concerned, Ferrara is an asset, without question, a money machine. And his sins are forgiven, but it comes with the cost, which happens to be a very large one, envelopes of money. In the past, the mobs made excuses for certain guys, and for the most part, it always turned out to benefit their pockets. I have a question for viewers. Does anyone believe that in the 1970s or 80s, Ferrara would be greeting customers in a Staten Island restaurant after cooperating? My answer is he'd be under the restaurant. This story, a very recent one, is a perfect example of just how diluted the mob has become when the dollar comes before principle. And by all means, Ferrara never really legally hurt any of the Colombos or the members. And that's the message that's being sent, which will soon lead to situations such as this. Well, this guy or that guy only gave up people in the XYZ family, but he never gave anyone up in our family, so he's good with us. The mob's in trouble. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sitdownnews, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. Someone asked me the other day, what qualifications does one need to be a wise guy in present day? And I listed off a few things, but I want to add a critical qualification to that list. Here it is. You also need to be a large enough earner that no matter what you do wrong, your money can wash that wrongdoing away. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. We got a big week ahead of us. Stay tuned.